continued from your notes on Friday. And we talked the other day about the product rule. Today we're going to move on to the quotient rule. So just pick up where you left off the other day. The quotient rule says this. If you have some rational function, h of x is equal to f of x divided by g of x, yes?
Can I look up those online and I can do the top of it too since I was here Friday?
Yeah, but why don't you, I think you should
Just do this first.
yeah, definitely do this first. H of x is equal to f of x divided by g of x. So in other words, you have a situation where you're not multiplying two polynomials, you are dividing two polynomials. The rule is this. The derivative of h of x is equal to g of x, in other words, the denominator in this case, times the derivative of the numerator, so g of x times the derivative of f of x, minus f of x, in other words, the numerator, times the derivative of the denominator, all over the denominator squared. So derivative, not derivative, not derivative, derivative, over the not derivative squared. So it's just a matter of remembering when to do what. But you'll have the formula in front of you. I'll have to get back with you guys on whether or not I'll be giving you the formulas on the test. I don't know the answer to that question. I got to think about it for a while. You think I should? Of course you think I should.
It's almost for pre-calc.
All right, an example. We'll start off with something not so bad. An example, h of x is equal to x squared plus 4x over 3x cubed minus 7. Get that down. I have all the steps written out, but I will walk you through it. Are you ready for me to start talking?
No.
Alright, so if h of x is equal to x squared plus 4x over 3x cubed minus 7, this is what the rule says. You take, first of all, the easiest part about it is just taking the denominator, 3x to the third power minus 7, putting it on the bottom and squaring it. You don't actually have to square it, just write it as though you would square it. You guys are used to doing that. And then on the top, you take g of x, that's the denominator, g of x, and you have to multiply it by the derivative of the numerator. So, and the numerator in the definition of the quotient rule was f of x. So, what is the derivative? Look at the numerator, x squared plus 4x. What is the derivative of the numerator?
2x plus 4.
Well, it's 2x plus 4. Minus, well, you're going to subtract from it the numerator, which is x squared plus 4, x plus 4, times the derivative of the denominator. Well, what is the derivative of the denominator? It's 3x cubed minus 7. The derivative of that would be 9x squared. The derivative of a minus 7 is 0. Okay? And we have the 3x cubed minus 7 squared on the bottom. All right, now all we need to do is clean it up. So you FOIL 3x cubed minus 7 times 2x plus 4. I don't think that I probably need to walk you through every single step of FOILing those two polynomials. But when you do it, you end up with 6x to the 4th power plus 12x cubed minus 14x minus 28. There's no like terms there. None of them are alike, so I leave it just like that. And then I have to subtract whatever I get when I multiply those two. So the 9x squared distributed to the x squared, getting you 9x to the 4th power. And then 9x squared times 4x gets you 36x to the 3rd power. Now, please notice my use of the parentheses. You know, there's parentheses around this. This has showed up a lot so far this year, but you need to make sure that you are subtracting this whole product, which means that you are not just subtracting 9x to the 4th power. That negative needs to be distributed to both, making it a negative 9x to the 4th power and a negative 36x to the 3rd power. And then you collect like terms. Add together your 4th power. So you have a 6x to the 4th power and a minus 9x to the 4th power, giving you negative 3x to the 4th power. Add together your cubes. You have a 12x cubed and a negative 36x cubed. That gets you negative 24x cubed. We have a negative 14x, and that's it. So it stays a negative 14x. And then we have our minus 28 at the end. And then on the bottom, you have 3x cubed minus 7 squared. Like I said, don't bother squaring that on the bottom. We might at some point have to start doing stuff like that, but for right now, you may leave it just like that. Okay?
So that's the answer?
That's the answer. That's it. That's the derivative. Anything I can clear up? So it's just a matter of remembering what goes where. It's not necessarily that finding the derivative is hard. It's just what goes where, doing the basic algebra steps, cleaning things up at the end. Yes?
Can you scroll up a little bit and then I'll
Yep.
show you what I'm.
Yeah.
I don't get how you did the very first part, like the whole f of x, then the derivative. I don't get where you got the 2x plus 4.
Where I got the 2x plus 4. This right here is the numerator, and in the definition we call that f of x. And according to the definition, you take the denominator, which is 3x cubed minus 7, and you multiply that by the derivative of the numerator. The derivative of the numerator, the derivative of x squared plus 4x, is 2x plus 4. So you take that power times the 1 in front. 2 times 1 is 2. You subtract 1 from 2. That's where the 2x came from. And then the derivative of 4x is 4. Okay, all right. All right, let's go on. Another example. Oh yes, there's more. Example. We're going to work through this one together. Got it. All right, derivative. What does your rule say? What comes first on the top? So the denominator times the derivative of the numerator. And I'm going to start right now by writing these things as fractional exponents. So I have x to the 1/2 power minus 1, and that has to be multiplied by the derivative of the numerator. What is the derivative of the numerator? 2. And then we subtract from it the derivative of the... Wait, does the rule say
It's the numerator.
numerator first? It doesn't. That part doesn't matter, but okay. So it is going to be the numerator 2x times the derivative of the denominator. And the derivative of the denominator is going to be 1/2 x to the negative 1/2 power. Leave it like that for now. Even though it's negative, we'll clean that up in just a minute. What is the derivative of minus 1? 0. So we're done right there. Well, at least with the top. Divided by, all this has to be divided by what? Yeah, so x to the 1/2 power minus 1 squared. Which is equal to?
2x.
So we're going to take 2 times x to the 1/2 power, which is 2x to the 1/2 power, and then 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. Minus, now, in the last example that we did, remember we had a big set of parentheses around what we were subtracting. In this case, why do I not need to put the parentheses?
Where did you get two?
Because we already know the distribute.
I'm gonna distribute these two and I'm only gonna get one term. It's one term times one term, we're gonna end up with one term. We're gonna subtract that one term. Marissa, you okay? Where did I get what?
The 2x from. So the 1 power equals 2x.
I went 2 times x to the 1/2 power. And then I went 2 times -1. Okay? Minus, now I'm going to take 2 times 1/2. What's 2 times 1/2? 1. X to the power of, now I have, this is a 1 power, and I'm adding it to a -1/2 power. That gets me a 1/2 power. All divided by x to the 1/2 power minus 1 quantity squared, which is equal to. Do I have like terms? Yes. I have 1/2 power, 1/2 power, so I have 2x to the 1/2 power minus 1x to the 1/2 power, which is 1x to the 1/2 power. I'm not going to put the 1 there, it's not necessary. Minus 2, all divided by x to the 1/2 power minus 1 quantity squared. That's it. I think that's all we can do.
Just leave the bottom square.
You could leave the bottom squared. You could keep going if you wanted to FOIL the bottom out. It certainly would not be wrong, but it's not going to get you anywhere. It's not going to change. You're not going to be able to cancel it out with anything on the top, so I would leave it just like that. All right, another example. Cosine of x divided by 4x squared. So the rule says that to find the derivative, it is the denominator, 4x squared, multiplied by the derivative of the numerator. What is the derivative of the cosine of x?
Negative sign.
Negative sine of x. Listen, you guys. Good job. Negative sine of x minus cosine of x. In other words, the numerator, cosine of x, times the derivative of the denominator. What is the derivative of 4x squared? 8x. Just 8x. Divided by 4x squared squared. Now, I have been telling you guys, don't actually square the bottom. But do you see in this example why it would not be a bad thing to square the bottom? First of all, squaring the bottom in this case is one quick, easy step. What is 4x squared squared?
16x.
Very good. 4x squared squared, that means you square the 4, giving you 16. You square the x squared, it gets you x to the 4th power. So you're going to have 16x to the 4th power. I don't think that's a big deal. And in this case, it's going to actually help us a little bit. So I'm going to keep going here. We have 4x squared times negative sine of x. And the only reason I'm doing this right now really is so that I can get that 8x out front, because I just think it's a little bit easier to recognize something here in just a minute. And on the bottom, I have 16x to the 4th power. Now, numerator, we have two terms. We have these two things, 4x squared times negative sine of x, and we have 8x times the cosine of x. What do they have in common? What can I factor out?
4.
They're both divisible by a 4, and they are also both divisible by an x. So I'm going to take a 4x out of this. When I take a 4x out, what am I left with?
X.
An x, very nice, and a negative sine of x.
Yeah.
And then if I take a 4x out of 8x, I'm going to have a minus 2 cosine of x divided by, I got my parentheses, divided by 16x to the power of 4, which is equal to. Now, we have a 4 on top and a 16 on bottom. What can I do with those?
Cancel out 4.
Cancel them out. 4. That 16 is going to become a 4. And then this x right here, I can cancel out with one of the x's on the bottom, now making this x to the 3rd power. So what do I have left? Is it okay if I put my negative sign out front?
Sure.
X sine of x. All I did was move that negative in front of the sign to the front. Negative x sine of x minus 2 cosine of x all divided by 4 x to the power of 3.
Would it be okay to do this with the negative sign?
Totally. Just make sure that you still leave your parentheses around the negative sign of x.
Okay, Miss Cornett, so the only thing I'm confused about is, so you divide that 4 into 16?
Yep.
Leave them over here. Yeah, but, okay, yeah.
4 over 16 reduces to 1 over 4. Okay. I think that I am going to stop right here. I was going to give you 2 more examples, but I think that right now would be a good place to stop. Yes, I think right now would be a good place to stop. Is there anything I can clear up before I stop? Anything? Trom? Did you clean your house this weekend?
No.